So you were on tour with Luis Miguel.
I mean, he's an absolute icon. For me, it was backup singing and we're doing coordinated dancing, and it was a lot of shows. I think we did just about 200 in those 18 months. And I think within a 6-month span, we were in like 20 countries. There's also quite a few shows where it's 20,000, 50,000, 60,000. So I just remember feeling the energy as soon as I stepped one heel out on that stage. You can let all these things scare you, or you can let it fuel you into doing it to the best of your ability. There's no perfect conditions, but you have to create kind of your own bubble to make those conditions perfect. It doesn't matter what end of the spectrum, 5 people or 5,000, you just go out there and do it like you would.
Being on stage with somebody like Luis Miguel, is there anything that you picked up from him? This is They're Good at That Shit, where I talk to artists about what they're doing well, get their tips, their advice. Maybe we can all learn something. My guest today has just been on tour with Luis Miguel, who is an international star. So we're going to talk to her today. Lara Mrgic, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
Absolutely. Anytime. Okay, so let's get into it. So you were on tour with Luis Miguel.
Yes.
For people who may not know, explain who that is.
I mean, he's an absolute icon. We were all over the world. His fan base is everywhere. He's a huge superstar. And I'm so grateful and privileged to have the opportunity to be able to share the stage with someone like him.
And how did that all come about?
Yeah, I got a call in regards for an audition as a backup singer. And basically, I just went in and I never left. And then we were on the road for a little over 18 months straight. So
wow. So yeah. The call for the audition, was it somebody you knew or somebody?
Who
was that?
It was through my engineer.
Okay.
He had gotten a call from a friend and had asked if he knew of anyone who would be good for this gig. And he just gave my name. And I guess the person had asked, they were like, well, do you have a couple of other people you want to recommend? And he was like, nope, just Lara. She'll get done what needs to be done. So, and I'm so honored to have him say that. So,
wow. Yeah, that's very cool.
My dear friend, Carlos Castro.
So your friend Carlos, he recommends you for this background singer role.
Yes.
Did he say what it was in the beginning? Like you knew who it was for, or was it just like, oh, here's a background sing thing? Okay.
I knew who it was for.
Okay, cool.
And I was so excited for the opportunity to even audition. And then, yeah, like I said, I went in and I never left. So
awesome. So you go into that audition. What was that process of just auditioning for this huge thing, like this huge star, and you're auditioning to go, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, I fully immersed myself in learning everything and all of his songs. And, for those that don't know, he is a Latin artist. And so all the music is in Spanish. Luckily for me, I am half Mexican and I grew up going to Mexico as a kid, and most of my family lives there. So I do know a lot of Spanish. So that was helpful in learning. But, how you study for songs, whether it's in your native language, mine obviously being English, is how you study for any song that would be in another language. So I have just a whole process of kind of learning the story within the song itself and kind of the emotion around it. So I applied that to his music as well.
Explain. I'm interested in more about that. So you'd say like learning the story and how you say your process is the same in any language. Kind of dive more into that.
Yeah, like if you think of, for example, a song that comes to mind, like Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. Okay. Like you understand that they're talking about growing older and just like how precious time is, and we don't really understand when we're younger until we get older, and that moment kind of passes us by. So when I can attach myself to the emotion of a song and really understand what it's about, then I can learn it better. It like sticks with me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And what was the show like? I mean, when you get on the road and because from seeing the video on like social media and stuff, it seems like a huge production. Yeah. So how is that, just being in a huge production like that? What's the rehearsal like? Things like that.
Yeah. Well, for me, like when I'm prepping to go do a show, and it was a lot of shows. I think we did just about 200 in those 18 months. And I think within a 6-month span, we were in like 20 countries. So the volume is like we're doing a show every few days, and you're traveling every day or every other day, depending on, sometimes you have a residency somewhere and you're there for 10 shows, maybe 3 weeks. And so every few days you have a show. But for me, it was backup singing, and we're doing coordinated dancing with two, I was in the middle, and then there's 2 women next to me, and we have to be in sync vocally and sync, with our moves too. So communication's really important when working as a team. And then, like my personal prep is meditation, vocal warm-ups. I like to have a slower day if possible. Sometimes you don't choose. Sometimes you have a show the same day and that you're getting into a place, and there's no perfect conditions, but you have to create kind of your own bubble to make those conditions perfect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
The audition process for the gig, as well as rehearsals, were tough. And I just, like I said, fully immersed myself in this project and gave it 100%. Like I can look back knowing that I, had this opportunity, and despite not being fluent in Spanish and, learning every song that he has, and we got the gig, and then it was like, sometime after, we were straight off to South America, to Argentina. Wow. And that's where we started the tour. So it was, you can let all these things scare you, or you can let it fuel you into doing it to the best of your ability. And I let it fuel me. I kind of just took it and ran with it and was open to whatever.
I love that. You can let it scare you or let it fuel you. That's dope. So, but from basically when you got word that you got the gig, how long was that till like you were basically off in Argentina?
About 4 weeks.
About 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And were you already kind of rehearsing here before that, or did you go off to Argentina and then start the rehearsal process?
No, I was here in LA, and then and then we had our first round of shows in Argentina. We did 10 shows in Argentina, and then after we went to Chile and did 10 shows there. And this was my first touring experience, and it was on such a huge level. Like we did a world tour, and we went back to some of the same places 2 times, 3 times, and I really got to know some of the cities and kind of feel like I knew them really well and like would go to my places that I really enjoyed. And I think, and that was wonderful.
How many people would you say is in the average crowd, and for one of those shows?
Yeah. I remember that the first batch of shows we did, I think it was 10,000 a night. There's also quite a few shows where it's 20,000, 50,000, 60,000. So, I remember one evening, we were about to go on stage and I didn't know how many people were in the crowd. Mm-hmm. And I just remember feeling the energy as soon as I stepped one heel out on that stage, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of people here. And I think we had 2 shows there and it was like 55,000 people a night. So yeah, big energy.
Yeah. What is that like? I mean, cause you go from, doing shows, where, you're doing shows at a bar or a restaurant or somewhere here in LA, and then to go to that where it's, 50,000 people, like what's that like?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to apply the same energy to the thousands of people, to the 4 people that are sometimes at the bar. And, what I think is interesting about smaller groups when you're at a bar is sometimes people are just there to hang or whatever else. Sure. And what I really love is being able to shift the energy in a room. And when you can see that that's happening with the 4 people, that's wonderful. And like, and it makes you feel like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, right? Like I love music. And it's the same when there's thousands of people in the crowd. Like there wasn't one time that I stepped on stage and wasn't grateful. It didn't matter what the conditions were behind the scenes. I always reminded myself where I came from. So when you're doing that much volume of shows, and there wasn't one moment I wasn't in awe of like, wow, this is crazy. And his fans are absolutely die hard and they love him so much. And, he's been doing this since he was a child and multiple generations have grown with him. And, I've met so many of the fans and the love that they have for him is so evident just speaking to them. And because you're associated with him and, on stage with him, they love you too. You're an extension of him. And, and I'm so grateful to have connected with so many people. And, but it doesn't matter what end of the spectrum, 5 people or 5,000, you just go out there and do it like you would whatever side of the coin, that it's on. So.
Absolutely. You talked about meeting some of the fans. Is there a particular fan interaction that sticks out in your mind or a few fan interactions that stick out to you?
Yeah. I mean, they're just so grateful. Sometimes they would be at the hotels and, they would have gifts ready for us and for the band and they would be personalized with our names on it too. I mean, I even have like, I'm carrying one in my purse right now of a makeup bag that someone had made with, his name and just like the art and stuff. So like I carry that with me every day.
Can we see it?
Yeah, of course. I have like all my lipsticks in it right now.
Yeah, that's.
So yeah.
Wow.
But
wow.
So like the different fan clubs will have, their name and stuff on it too.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. And then I keep everything. I keep all the letters and, I've had, young women come up to me or, and just be like, I love what you do up there. And, I listen to your music and you inspire me as just to to do, you know, what I want to do in life. And I think that's so wonderful too. And there's been a lot of people who have also listened to my stuff as an extension of love for him. So
what is that like the first time you have somebody come up to you? You know, you're on this tour with this, you know, superstar, and you know, for the most part, it's, you know, people are focused on them. But what's that like when somebody comes up to you for the first time and they're like, "Oh man, I love what you do, and I've checked out your music, and I love that, and here's a gift for you." What is that like?
I just think, like, whether it's for me or as an association, whatever the terms may be, I think I just look at it as a whole of like, I'm just grateful. Like, it doesn't really change if it's for me or because I'm an extension of, you know, the tour and whatever. I think I've always have thought like no one has to go out of their way to compliment you. So even when you're walking down the street, or if I'm at a coffee shop and someone's like, "I really like, you know, your writing book and, you know, your style and this and that," like no one has to do anything nice for you,
Sure.
you know, and or say anything nice to you. And I think it's important to, like, when I meet fans or when someone says something nice to me, I do thank them. Like I genuinely thank them, because you don't have to say anything,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you talked about going to, you said 20 countries, was it?
Yeah.
20 countries. Was there a favorite spot, a favorite country, or a favorite spot within that country that you really liked?
It's hard for me to pick one place. There were some things that stood out to me within the different places. For example, we were in Lima, Peru, and Peru is stunning, and they have a cat park there with hundreds of stray cats.
Okay.
Just like people are sitting in the park with these cats. I didn't see one stray dog. It's just cats everywhere. And my friend I had been touring with, she has a cat at home, and so, you know, you're missing your pets, and I had this idea. I was like, I'm gonna surprise her, and we're gonna go to like this cat sanctuary park. Wow. And it's so therapeutic to just sit with animals, so it's really nice to do things like that and find cool spots like that. But what I really like to do on time off is I prefer to kind of go to local spots and get local recommendations. And the tourist stuff is great, and it's nice to visit, but I want to be in like the local atmosphere. And I love coffee shops and vintage and thrifting and just the creative aspect of that. So it was really cool to travel all over and just kind of bounce around different places like that. Nice.
I've been to Lima, Peru myself.
Have you?
Yeah, and I loved it. And I was in the Miraflores area. That's where I was staying. And I went to a restaurant called Mango's, and the lomo saltado there was the best. It was the best thing I've ever eaten.
Oh my
probably,
gosh.
you know.
Yeah.
Was there anything like that you tasted on the road and you were like, "Oh man, this is incredible"?
Yes. It's so funny because while you're thinking about it, I like draw a blank, you know,
Yeah.
But I have so many photos in my phone of all these meals that were just amazing.
That's definitely something that I always find enjoyable, is trying the new foods that are there, and especially like whatever the kind of the dish there, you know, that
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, you know, we're at the venues and these different places too, so it would be traditional food from that region as well. So yeah, I mean, I love doing that. I love trying whatever food that a country is known for and how it's, supposed to be prepared and whatever else. So yeah, I really love that.
Awesome. Is there anything being on stage with somebody like Luis Miguel, somebody who is an international superstar, is there anything that you picked up from him, that you noticed from him, any characteristics, any facets of his performance that you saw and you were like, oh, that's really cool how he does this or that or whatever?
I mean, he has such a stunning voice. Like, it really is so beautiful. And I mean, I remember the first time I heard him sing like live and, in a space, and it was just breathtaking. Just the way he sings in general and his stamina is really great. And so I'm always listening, like, for any singer, like I'm always like listening to how they sing and whatever else. But I think, you just learn a lot from everyone that you're on stage with, all the professionals. And, there were, we toured with a mariachi band as well. And we also would have, orchestras from time to time too. And it was so cool just to see how everybody does their craft, and it was a privilege for me to be able to see that and be a part of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask about the band too, because I imagine if you're playing with a guy like that, you're probably really fucking good at your instrument too, if you're in that band. So I imagine the band was insane as well, like some next level players.
Yeah. And a lot of the players have been a part of his band for like 30 years, over 30 years. And, there were a few people who were really great mentors that, with touring, it's completely changes your life and just your day-to-day routine. And so some people who had been touring for years had really good insight on how to go about stuff and how to, how you do things and whatever else. And I so appreciate that because some people are more willing to be helpful and others not, and you never know. And I appreciate that.
Was there any particular advice that sticks out in your mind or stuck out in your mind when you first started that was really influential or important?
Let's see. The advice that I've gotten was to just do what you need to do, right? Yeah. And it doesn't matter particularly what else is going on. You just stick to what you do. And I've had some great mentors tell me that, and it was something that I intuitively knew. And so I think that, something about me is I just want to do my job and I want to do it to the best of my abilities. And there's, things that are going on, sometimes weather, sometimes, whatever it is. And you just have to prepare as best as you can. And that's all you can do.
Yeah. I imagine on a stage like that, there's a lot going on. There's, so many moving parts because it's such a huge production. Yeah. A lot of different people on stage, lights, and 50,000 people, in some cases in the building. So you really have to be focused and just like concentrating on what you're doing. But I feel like that's also just a metaphor for life as well. There's a lot of fucking distractions out there.
Definitely.
And things that can take your eye off of what it is that you want to be doing and what it is that you're setting out to do and what your goals are. So I feel like that's just an awesome metaphor for life. And just, a lot of times we have to cut out the distractions and keep the eyes on the prize, you know?
Yeah, and definitely that goes for anything because, and as you know, talking about like metaphors for life, like, like as a performer, you leave everything that's happened before the stage, you leave it out, and then you just, and I think that's also why we do what we do, because when you're playing live, you really are the most present. Like you get into flow, you're present, you're not thinking of all these other things. And I think to an extent when we are in this flow state, like we're always chasing that at some capacity to feel that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When you first got word that you were going to be going on this tour and they said, yeah, it's probably going to be like 18 months, were you like, oh, holy shit? Like, because I feel like a lot of people, that would have scared a lot of people off. I feel like 18 months, because that's a long time.
Well, I didn't know how long.
Oh, okay.
I was open. I mean, I had always wanted to tour and be a touring artist. And I think I always thought that I would be good at it because I am adaptable. And not to say that, you know, even if you're adaptable to new situations, places, and whatever else, it always has its challenges too. Like there's definitely some, you know, really hard things about it. But I was excited and I wanted to, like I said at the beginning, like give it all I have and fully immerse myself in it. A big part of why I was able to do this is because I do have a great support system at home, and that's so important. Like I was out on the road and my fiance is at home taking care of stuff and our dogs, and it would have been even more so challenging. And there are people who don't have support systems and maybe don't take a gig because their family doesn't want them to, or, you know, it is hard to figure out how to do both. But like I said, if you have a great support system, it changes everything. Yeah,
absolutely. You mentioned there are a lot of hard things about tour and doing that whole thing. What are like some of those hard things? I mean, you kind of alluded to it just now of like, you know, kind of being away from the family, but if you have that support system, that's good. Were there any other like hard things that you had to kind of overcome?
Yeah, I think the travel can take a little bit of a toll too. And you sometimes don't get a lot of rest. And so you do have to figure out how to take care of yourself and do check-ins with yourself, and just, you know, like make sure you're meditating and you're stretching. And because there are days where you know, you might be in a van for a really long time traveling to the next place, and so you need to make sure you're moving your body because that's good for your brain and your health too. And writing is really important for me and sustaining that while on the road. So even if I'm writing like a paragraph a day, I'm still writing, you know. I think what's difficult for me is in regards to just like people can be so wildly different, and some people are not team players, and I take pride in being a team player. So there's, you know, whether you're in a band or whatever else, like I've been in plenty of bands over the years, and some people are just really difficult to work with. So, I imagine,
you know, because I've been in bands as well, and there's always those personalities and people that can be challenging at times. So I imagine with a lot of people in a production like this, it's only amplified probably.
Yeah, and something that I can say about myself that I'm really proud of, just in general, is when it finished, I can walk away knowing that I didn't once change my character. I sustained and was the same throughout the whole thing, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And yeah, I think that when anyone's touring for extended time, things get amplified. People can't mask themselves right anymore. Sometimes you can see it a lot sooner than other times. And but I just want to do my job, and that's like anytime I have a job, I just want to do my job. I want to be good to people. I want to do my job, be professional, and walk away knowing that I was kind to those around me. And that's really important for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Lara Mrgic, thank you so much for joining me and talking to me here. This was a fantastic conversation, so I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Broadway, the host. If you got something out of the episode, definitely go ahead and hit the like button. Also subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can get notified whenever we drop new episodes. If there was something specific that you learned or found interesting, put that in the comments. Also, if there was something that you thought you were going to learn more about, wanted to hear more about, and you didn't, put that in the comments as well. We can use that to make these episodes better going forward. Thank you again for checking out They're Good at That Shit.